Hey, hello and welcome back. We're in the Gemara and Taanis Daf Yud Tes. We're going to be covering a lot of ground today. We have a little bit to catch up from Yud Ches, and then we're going to go a little bit ahead on Chaf so we don't end in the middle. We're going to still try to get it done in under 30 minutes with excellent clarity as well. Mishnah says on Yud Ches, Seder Taniyo Seilo Amar B'Revi Rishoina. The order of these fasts that is said in the first rain period. So that's what we're talking about over here. Rashi says what we learned on Daf Yud, that you fast, and then after for an individual, and then afterward the congregation fasts. So you do this for 13 fasts if no one was answered during the first period. So it's talking about, let's say the first period of fast passed and there were no rain. You continue to fast in this order. Mishnah continues, Val smachim shishono, but growths that changed, matriyan aleim miyad. So you blow shofar and fast for those immediately. This is talking about that, the growths aren't as they're supposed to be going, so it's going to be more stringent. Which continues with Cain, Shepasku geshamim being geshem legeshem arbim yoim. Similarly, if it stopped raining in between rains for a duration of 40 days, matrin aleim ibnei, shehi makas besoidus. So you blow shofar on that, because that is considered an affliction of a type of famine. Is referring to the first period and the second period, as Rashi explains. So that's going to be a famine over here. Yardu samachin, aval lo yardu, li'ilon li'ilon, v'lo l'smachin, l'zeh v'lzeh. So let's say it was raining for plants, growth, but it wasn't raining for trees. Let's say it was raining for trees, but not for plants. Right? L'zeh v'lzeh. Aval lo l'boris l'shchin amaros. Let's say it was raining both for trees and plants, but not for the pits and the ditches. Vilamaros and for caves. Machin alein me'ad. You blow shofar for that immediately. V'chin, and similarly, Yershalo yard aleim geshamim. If you have a city that the rain didn't come down on it. Dechsiv, the pasuk says, V'imtarti alira achas v'alira achas lo imtir, chalko achas tamtir. There's going to be rain just on one city, but on the adjacent city, there's not going to be rain. Oiso ayir mesanu matre v'kol sivisa mesanu filo matrios. So that city is going to fast and blow the shofar, and all of the surrounding places are going to fast but not blow shofar. Rabbi Kiva Omer Matrius V'lo Metanos. Rabbi Kiva says that they just blow shofar but they're not going to fast. V'chein, and similarly, Ir sheyesh ba dever ma poilos oiso ir mesana umitras v'kol sviso mesanas v'lo mitras v'lo matrios. Similarly, let's say you have a city that has a pestilence, lice, or mapoilis is a type of ruins. That city would fast and blow shofar, and all of the other cities around that would fast but not blow shofar. Rabbi Kiva Omer. Rabbi Kiva says matrios v'lo mesanos, that they would just blow shofar but they wouldn't fast. So you have an argument on the mission over here. Ezahu dever, what is considered the lice, the pestilence? Ir shemitzuya chamesh mios ragli v'yotzim mimenu gimel meisim v'gimel yomim zeh achad zeh hadi zeh dever pachos mikanein zeh dever. If you have a city that it has 500 legs that are going over there, v'yotzim mimenu, that you have 500 people, and then they died, right? Three deaths within 3 days, one after another, that is considered a dever. That's a pestilence, that's a lice. Less than that is not considered a lice. Al elu matriyin bekol makom. On the following, you blow shofar in all places. Al shidafun, on a wind blast. Val yirakon. This is a type of sickness on the body. Val arba v'al chasil, on different types of locusts. There's a lot of them. Val chayera, on a wild animal. V'al hacherev, and on the sword, an army that comes in. Matrin aleim. You have to blow shofar on them. Imneshu makas ma'aleches, because that is a a plague which like continues going, a wound that keeps on going. In other words, it keeps spreading and it could reach all places. That's the problem over here. Maisa, there was a story, there was an episode. Sheyardu zakenim Yerushalayim lehirayim v'gazru Taanis al shenira kimaloi pi taner. There's a story that the elders from Jerusalem, they went to their cities and they decreed a fast because it looked like there was the opening of the size of an oven, which means a small opening. Shidafon ba'ashkelon va'od God's Taanis al sha'achu zevim shnei tinoikos be'vayarin. There was the wind blast in Ashkelon, and furthermore, they decreed on a fast that wolves ate two children on the other side of the Jordan River. Rabbi Yossi Omer, lo al sha'achu el al shenira. It's not that the wolves ate, rather it was that they were just seen in the area. They came to the city, so that was a sign that already there could be issues involved over there. Al elu on these Matrian b'Shabbos. You would blow shofar even on Shabbos. Al irshi kifu nochrim o nar ve'al safina ha mitirefes biyam. Or if you have a city that was surrounded by enemies, or if you have a river and on a ship that is tossing in the river over there. Rabbi Yossi Omer la'azar v'lo l'saka. Rabbi Yossi says for help, but not for shouting out, not for yelling out over here. This is talking about on these difficulties, it's permissible to blow the shofar on Shabbos only to help. In other words, to call people that they should come and assist, but not for yelling out, which means you're not going to be able to blow shofar in the davening because it's not guaranteed that it will help. Shimon Hatimani Omer Afal Dever V'Lo Yehudi Lo Chachamim. Shimon Hatimani said this applies even for the pestilence, but the lice, but they did not agree with him. Al Kol Soro on every single difficulty. Shaloi Tava Al Tzibur Matrin Aleim Chutz Merovi Gesham, in every single difficulty. So that it will not come on the congregation. You could blow shofar except for a lot of rain. Maisa, there was an episode, a story. Shamr lo lechoni hamagel. They told Choni hamagel. Here it is, and we're going to see it more on Chav Gimel. His palo shiardu gesham. They told him, please daven so that the rain will come. Amar Lam, he told them, suvach nisu tanuri pesachim b'shvil shelo yimoku. He said, go and enter in your ovens that is used for the korban pesach so that it will not like melt. Going to get ruined if it was out there. So the reason over here that they went to Choni HaMagel, and he was also clear that his prayers would be accepted. The Ein Yaakov on Chof Gimel Amud Aleph explains, because he was a very pious individual in that generation. He had a lot of good deeds, and he would pain himself to understand the words of Torah and to understand the depths of halacha. His palo yoga geshamim. He prayed for them, but the rain didn't come down. Why didn't the rain come down immediately when he davened? His intentions were for the sake of heaven, were l'shem shemayim. If the ovens will become wet, so then they won't be fit to be used anymore, and then they can't bake the matzahs over there, or the korban pesach. They can't be used for the korban pesach, rather. So what's the explanation there? So why wasn't he answered? So because he shouldn't have said what he said in a language that he was so certain that Hashem would listen to him. He should have said it more in a doubtful way, that he wasn't sure. Meaning, maybe you should enter your oven, bring your ovens into the house, because maybe the rain's gonna come. That's what the Kol Haramaz says. Similarly, it's implied from the Yerushalmi in Halacha Tes that Rabbi Yossi Bey Rabbi Bone says that he didn't have proper humility at his level. Ma'asa, what did he do? Excuse me. Ag uga. He drew a circle of V'amad b'soicha and he stood in it. V'amar, and he said, V'amar lefanav Rabbeinu Shalom, he said, Master of the world, Banecha samu pneiam alai, your children, they placed their faces on me. Shani keben bayis lefanecha. I'm just like a regular person in the house in front of you, which means he was prettily regular by Hashem. The Maharsha explains on Chav Gimel Amud Aleph Dibra Masku Keben Bayis. It's not because of his greatness that he was saying this. Rather, he was just saying he's regularly involved with Hashem. Nishba ani b'shemecha. I'm gonna make a vow, an oath in your name, Hagadol, your great name, Sheini zazmi kana cherachim al panecha, that I'm not gonna move from here until you have mercy on your children. Heschilu geshamim menatfin. The rain began to drip. Amar, he said, Lo kach sha'alti. This is not what I asked for. Elagashmi boido shchina ma'aretz. I asked for rain that's gonna go into the pits, into the cave and the ditches, the shchin, the ditches, cisterns, into the cave. Heschilu liyered bezaf. The rain started coming down with anger, with the fury, a lot of rain. Amr, he said, Lo kach shalti. This is not what I asked for. Elagashmi rotzon bracham nedava. I want rain that is going to be a blessing, more of a peaceful type of rain, like Rashi over here explains, a good type of rain that's going to be very helpful. Yardu Ketiknan, the rain come down as it should have. Achi Yetzi Yisrael Yerushalayim LaHarabayis, until the Jews left Yerushalayim to Harabayis. Mibnei Gishamim, because of the rain. Bo Vamrilo, they came and they told him, Kishim, Shispaleta Aleim, Shiardu, Kachis Palu Sheikhlahem. They told Chinamal, they told Choni Amagel, just like you daven that the rain should come, so to daven so that it should leave us, that it should go away. It's too much. Amalam, he told them, Suru, go and look. Im Nemochim Evan Hatoan. If it was dissolved, the this Evan Hatoan. What is this rock? Rashi explains that it was in Yerushalayim, and anyone who lost an object will go announce it over there. It's a Gemara in Bava Metzia on Kafches. So that's the idea over here. They will go with their lost items, and he said, you don't want to stop that you don't want to daven that the rain should stop. Shalach lo Shimon ben Shatach. Shimon ben Shatach sent him and he said, Omali choine ata. If you were not chone, goizerni alecha nidui. We would excommunicate you. He said, if you weren't chone hamagel. Why? What's the reasoning over here? So if you look at the Bach commenting on this Rashi in Ozayin, he seems to say that he was going against Hashem a little bit because he was like to Hashem, oh, I didn't ask for this. So he was a little rude towards Hashem. That's the Bach. The Meiri explains that a righteous person shouldn't assume himself and be so certain about himself in his prayers, like we saw before. The Beis Elohim explains in Shar Tefillah Parak Aleph, his claim was it looked like he was asking in a way that, oh Hashem, you have to do this, you have to fulfill my will. Aval ma'asalacha. But Shimon ben Shach said, but what can we do to you? Sha'atam mischata lifnei hamakom, you're sinning in front of Hashem, va'oisi Hashem ritzonecha, and Hashem is still doing your will. Keben shehu mischata al aviv v'asal ritzona, like a son who is sinning against his father, and the father is still doing his will. V'alecha kasav omer, and you the pasuk says, Yismach avicha v'imecha v'tagal yolesecha, that they're gonna be happy, your parents. The Mishnah says, Hayu misanin v'yardu lahem geshamim, if they were fasting and the rain came, kodem anitzachama, before sunrise, lo yashlimu, then they shouldn't make up their fast. If it already started raining before sunrise, you don't need to continue with your fast. La'achar anitzachama, but if it was after sunrise, yashlimu, then they need to finish their fast. Rabbi Eliezer oimer koidem chatzos lo yashlimu la'achar chatzos yashlimu. Rabbi Eliezer says before chatzos you don't need to make up your fast. However, after chatzos, after halachic min day, you do need to make your fast up. You do need to finish it. Maisa, we have a story. Shagazer Taanis belod v'yardilahem geshamim koidem achatzos. We have a story that they decreed a fast in Lod, and the rain came down before halachic midday. Amarlam Rabbi Tarfon told them, Su'u v'achlu, go out and eat, v'shasu, and go drink, v'asu yom tov, and do a yontif. V'yatzu v'achlu v'shasu v'as yom tov, and that's what they did. They went out, they ate and drank, and they made a holiday. Uba'u bein arbaim v'kara halal gadol, and then the afternoon came, and then they said the big halal. These are the order of the fast that we said on the period of the first fast. Urimini, we have a contradiction. We have a contradiction. The first period of the rain period and the second, that's for asking. The third is when you fast. We said before in the Mishnah, you already start fasting from the first. Over here we see it's only the third. Rav Yehuda said, no, this is what it's saying. Seder Taniyosam or Aimasai, the order of the fast. When were they said? Bezman Sheyotzer Rav Yerishoin, Vishnia, that's only after the first and second rain period. Vishlishis and the third, v'lo yardu geshamin, and no rain came. Aval yardu geshamin b'ravir b'shonim. But once the rain came down in the first period, v'zaru, and they planted, v'lo samchu, and they didn't grow anything. Inami or samchu, they grew something. V'chazru v'nishtanu, and then they returned. And it changed. Matrin aleim, so that you already have to blow shofar immediately. Rav Nachman daftu neshad. Rav Nachman is specifically talking about when it changed. Aval yavshulo, but if it just dried out, so then not pshita nishtanu tanan. That's obvious that we said nishtanu, that it had to have changed. Lo sricha. We didn't need the words of Rav Nachman to say this, except in a situation of de akun. This is talking about. Rashi over here comments on this, Sha'alu bakana, that it went up in the stalk just a little bit after it was dry out. Mahudetema, what would you have thought? Akanissa, that's talking about that when it went up in the stalk, milsihi, that's considered a matter, which means once these seeds are ready, they start doing something on and the stalk over there. So we would think, okay, that's good. So then now the prayer will help even after it already dries out, and then it will go back and it will start growing again. Kamash Malan, that's why it's coming to teach us the other way. Rav Nachman is teaching us that that's not true. Um, that's not true. There's still a purpose of the tefillah of the davening. Rashi goes into this a little bit more. V'chein shepasku geshamim ein ben geshem legeshem. My makas besaros. What is considered this type of famine that comes in over here? Meaning the famine doesn't come in overnight. So like, what's going on over here? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav Maka Hamevili de besaros. This is going to be a plague that is going to bring to a type of famine. Amar Rav Nachman Nahara Nahara. Rav Nachman says a river on a river is besorta. That's considered the famine, which means that this is, according to Rashi, that there's no produce in one city, but in another one there is. So you could bring from one city to another by transferring it through boats. Taisvis over here goes into it. Rashi will discuss it a little bit more in the next Amud, that this is talking about a boat you could bring much more. It's not a big burden. Lake El Tircha Zeira, it's only a small burden, Taisvis says. So for that, you don't blow shofar on. We're going to see, but if you're going to transfer from one city to another, it's much more difficult to transport through using back then donkeys, wagons, etc. That you would blow shofar. That's going to be more difficult. It's not as easy like a ship. Taisvis is. Medinosa, kafno. If it's from one place in the country to another, so that already is considered like a major hunger over there. You're bringing it through like the wagons, through the donkeys that we said. That's more difficult. Rashi explains. Can't bring it transferred as nicely. Rashi says that's what Taisus also was talking about. From a Rabbi Chanina, and Rabbi Chanina says, "Say if you have if the amount of a seah, the quantity of a seah of wheat will cost bitzela, will cost a selah vishkicha, but it's also commonly around. There's a large supply of it, so you could purchase it besorta. That's considered a famine, and the reason is because it's very expensive. Arba. However, if it's four and the bath adds, if you're buying four sayin for the price of a selah, veloshkicha, but it's not common, that's a kafna. That's an extreme hunger. Amar Rabbi Yochanan lo yishan ela bezman she'amos bezulu peretz beyoker. This is only talking about when the money is very cheap and when the fruit is very expensive. Aval ma'os beyoker. But if the money is very expensive, uperes bezul, but the fruit is cheap, matrian aleha miyad. We blow shofar on that immediately. And Rashi over here explains if the money is expensive, that means the business isn't going so well. People don't have a lot of money, so the purchasing power isn't as good because people don't have money. Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan says Nehira, and I remember Kad Havi Kaime when I was around Dalid Zayin Besela. It was 4 saying worth for a seller. Vavinafishi Nafichi, and there were a lot of people who were like bloated kafon because of the extreme hunger. B'Taveria mideles iser in Taveria because they didn't have an iser, which is a form of currency over there. Yardu, once the rain comes down, l'semichin of alul if it's going, if the rain is coming down for the growths, but not for the trees, bishlema, it's good, it's understandable, l'semichin for the growth, v'ol'ilan and not for the tree, mashkachasla, we find it that it's going to be referring to da'achanicha, it was coming down softly, v'loat yaraz, it wasn't coming down forcibly, li'ilan v'lo l'smachin, if it's for the tree and not for the plants, da'as yaraz v'lo yaslinicha, it's coming down with force, but not with ease, l'zel v'zev, it's coming down for both of alul laborts, v'lishchin v'laras, mashkachas la, da'as yaraz v'nicha, miutu v'lo yasya, if it was going down for both of those, the rain, but not for the pits, for the shrin, for the sichin, excuse me, that was the ditches, the cisterns, or for the pits over there. So we find that that's referring to that it was going down with force and gently. However, it wasn't going down a lot. Ella hadetanya, but the brisa that says yardu laboris lishchul maritz of but in the case of when the brisa said it's going to go down for the pits and for the ditches, the and if it's going to go down for the pits, for the ditches, and for the caves, but not for this and that, aka the growth in the trees, how could you find that? What's that referring to? The Asya Bishifi Chusa. That's talking about that it's going down with a lot of strength. Tana Rabbanan, we have a brisa. Matrina Leilonos Beprosa Pesach. We're gonna blow shofar for the trees 15 days before Pesach. Alaboros Chin Ba'aros, on the pits, on the ditches, cisterns, the caves. So then, even some say Beprosa Chag, even by Whole discussion is referring to 15 days before Sukkot or 15 days before Shavuos. Al kulon imin lahen mayim lishos matrina l'mayad. On all of them, if you don't have water immediately to drink, you could blow shofar immediately. Ve'ezahum miyad shelahem. What's considered immediately? Sheni l'chamish sheni. Monday, Thursday, and Monday. Al kulon im matrina malayim. On all of them, you're not allowed to blow shofar. Ella be'af rechia, unless it's going to be by the shelahem, their countries. Ve'askara, and when it comes to a choking type of death, which is not good. Gemara Brachos Tavches Bisman. It's a very difficult type of death. Bisman sheyesh ba misa, at a time when there is death. Matriyin aleha. So then you're going to blow shofar on that. Bisman shey misa matriyin aleha. But if there is not going to be death, you don't blow shofar on that. Matriyin al hagoyvai bekol shu. And you could blow shofar on locusts, even a small amount. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar oimer af al chagav. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says even on the chagav. Rashi explains over here that the govai type of locust destroys the produce over there. So even if you only see a little bit, you know that more is going to come. But the chagav type of locust, um, if you have any a little bit, so that's not going to destroy as much like the arba. So it could be less of a problem. Differences between the different types of locusts over here. Tana Rabbana, we have a brayso. Matrin ali lano is bishar shnei shivuyi. You're going to blow shofar on the trees by the other years of the Shemitah cycle, the other years, alaboros v'alashchin v'armor, so shvil b'shvias, and if you have problems for the pits and for the ditches and for the caves, even during shvias over here. So the difference before if it's shvias or not is going to be, if it's shvias, like we said before, it's going to be hefker for everyone. It's going to be ownerless for everyone. That would be the difference. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Afali Lonos B'Shnish, Behem Pes Parnasa Le'aniyim. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says that even on the trees on Shvius, because it's considered a loss to the poor people. Tanya Idach, we have another brayso, Matriyon Alei Lonos B'Shar Shnei Shavua. You could blow shofar on the trees in other years of the Shemitah cycle. And on the pits and the ditches and caves, even during the Shemitah year. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Omer Alfei Lanos Matriyan. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says even on the trees you could blow shofar. Sefichin b'shvias, on the growth, the aftergrowth on the Shemitah year, mipnei sheish b'parnas l'aniyim, because you have the parnasa to the poor people. Tanya, we have a brayso. Amar Rabbi Elazar being prater. Rabbi Elazar in the son of prater says, "Miyom shecharda beis hamikdash nasu gishamim simukin la'olam. Yeshana shegabishamayim ruvim yeshana sheglam muat and yeshana sheglam yardim bizmanim yeshana shen gishamim gizmarnam shen yardim bizmanim." From the day the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, the rain became like hard for the world. Some years there's a lot of rain. Some years there's a little bit of rain. Some years the rain will come down in its proper time. Some years the rain will not come down in its proper time. Shana shegisha meha yordin bizmana nalamahu dome. When it comes to a year that the rain comes down in the proper time, what is this comparable to? Le'eved shenosan loy rabo parnasosli be'echad b'shabbos nimtzu yisod nafis kititkunum v'nechad kitkun. This is comparable to a servant who his master gave him food for on Sunday. So now his dough will get baked properly and he's going to eat it properly. Shona she'in gishemei yordim bizmanan lamahu doma. If you have a year that the rain will not come down in its proper time, what is that comparable to? Levet shnasan l'rabba parnasa be'er Shabbos ain't yusasu nafish l'kitunu ve'echal sh'l'kitunu. It's comparable to a slave that his master gave him his food on the eve of Shabbos. So sometimes the dough will be made not properly. His dough will be made not properly and will be eaten in an improper way as well. Improper way as well. Shana shekemei Hashem ruin lahu dome. A year where there's a lot of rain. What is it similar to? Levet shnasul rabba panasul basachas nimsei yidei chaim techonos min hakor. So this is similar to a servant who his master gave him parnasa simultaneously. So now all at once. So now the grinder will grind from a large amount. Would it grind from a small amount? So now he's going to be eating his dough from the core measurement, just like he's eating it from a kav, aka that it's gonna end up being better than him. Better for him. Shana Shigishaman Watam Lama Doma, a year where there's a little bit of rain, what is comparable to Levish Rasan Rab Parnasatzim that a master gives his servant just a little bit of food. What the grinder is going to be grinding from the core, you're going to grind from the kav. You're going to find that the dough that's eaten from the core, you're going to eat from the kav. Another matter, a year where there's a lot of rain, what is this comparable to? La'odam shemegabel as a person who's kneading clay. Im yesh lo mayim rabim, im yesh lo mayim rabim, Mayim Einam Kalam Veha Tit Maguba Yafa. If you have a lot of water, so then the water will not get used up, and the tit, the clay, will get kneaded well, kneaded with a K. If you have a little bit of water, mayim kalam ve'tichinu misgaba yafa. If you just have a little bit of water, so then the water will get used up, and then the clay will not get kneaded well over here. Tana Rabbanan, we have a brayso pamachas olukol Yisrael v'raglu Yerushalayim v'lo yehelem hamayim lishtos. One time the Jews, they went to go to Yerushalayim, to the Beis Hamikdash, for the Shalosh Regalim, one of the Shalosh Regalim, and they didn't have any water to drink. Halach Nakdima Ben Gurion Etzela Adon Echad. So Nakdima Ben Gurion went to one Adon. Some have gears to change. Hegmon is the real gear, so they were just sensors for some reason. I don't know. So he went to one master over there. Echad Amar Lo, he said, Halvini Shtayim Asar Mainos, please lend me 12 wells. By the way, Nakdimon, as Rashi says, was very wealthy over here. What's the source of his wealth? Gemara and Gittin on Daf Nunvav. So he said, "Please lend me 12 wells, mine Gully, for the people, so that they were going to go and they are going to be able to go to the Beis Hamikdash. And I will repay you with the 12 wells after it rains. And if I'm not going to return it to you, I'm going to give you collateral right now. I'm going to give you 12 talents of silver, and they set a specific time that he needs to pay it back by. Once the time came to pay it back, and the rain didn't come down yet, b'shachris, in the morning, shalach loy shagarli omayim omao sheishli be'adecha. So the master told Nakdimon, he said, send me either the water or the money that you have in your hand. The time came. Shalach lo adayin yishli zman kol yom kula shalihu. What do you mean? I have the entire day. We said till the end of the day. The day is mine. I still have time to repay you. So in the afternoon, he said, send me, pay me back, either the water or the money that you have in your hand, but give it back to me. He said, what do you mean? It's still day. So also in the afternoon, later on, he said, same thing, send me back the water, the money that's in your hand, that's mine. So Nakdimon, he sent back. He said, what do you mean? It's still day, I still have more time. The master, he mocked him. Amar, and he said, the entire year it didn't rain at all. The act of Yardu Geshamim, and now you think it's going to rain? Nichnos labeis amirachotz b'simcha. He went to the bathhouse in a happy way. Some explain he went to the bathhouse to show that, number one, he has water, everyone else doesn't. Number one, or number two, he went to the bathhouse to show, oh, I got to celebrate. I'm about to make a lot of money. Easy victory over here. Pick it up from here next time. We'll end right in the middle of the story. Leave everyone in suspense.